Okay, so this is week 4, class part 2 of ENC 102, 2018. This class corresponds to the document ENC 102.8 on CMS, so you can access that document now and have it handy so that you can complete the activities in this video. Here's the document here, and so on CMS it's ENC 102.8. You can pull that up now. Okay, so here's an opinion article we have, and then we're going to look at this opinion article, answer these questions about it, and then look at a reaction response essay in response to this article that evaluates the arguments in this article. So first, read the following opinion article and understand it, and then analyze the writer's arguments and evaluate the ideas. Is the logic of the essay flawed? Can you think of counter-arguments or counter-examples? What outside evidence could support the author's points further? So if you agree with a point, you might find outside evidence that could support the point even further. If you disagree, you could think of arguments or examples that disprove the writer's arguments. So go ahead and read through this text and try to evaluate the arguments here. Okay, so hopefully by now you've paused the video, read through the text on CMS, and taken some notes. So we're going to go over some notes and possible critiques of the text. So the thesis or main idea of the text was that rich countries exploit the rest, mainly by means of their environmental strategies and their use of human workforce. And the first supporting point was about environmental damage. So rich countries cause environmental damage to poor countries, and talked about damage in general and waste and gave some evidence. The only thing is I noted here that this piece of evidence didn't have a source, so that might be a possible critique. But in general, I agreed with this point, and I thought maybe I could find further evidence of environmental damage caused by rich countries to poor countries. He also talked about electronics industry waste. So he said that when rich countries send electronics as waste to other countries, this damages the other countries because the technology that they send is not useful. I thought perhaps I could try to find counterexamples of rich countries sending functional technology to poor countries that actually helps them instead of just technological waste. Anyway, gave some really great evidence here to support his point, her point. So her second point was that rich countries steal the best minds from poor countries, right? And she gave some evidence about that. And I thought if I were to disagree with this point, I could find examples of individuals and nations that benefited from opportunities in rich countries. So for instance, poor countries where poor individuals from poor countries that go to rich countries can get better opportunities for education, jobs, which means that they could send money back to their origin country or return to the origin country and end up benefiting it. So I would have to do some background research on this. Then another point is global outsourcing. Businesses in rich countries purchase services or products in poor countries to cut costs, and she argues that this actually damages the poor countries, but I might look for evidence that shows that outsourcing benefits the economy of both parties by boosting the markets. So remember, she included this counter-argument actually in her own essay, but I could do some research that shows that this counter-argument is actually valid with some examples. Okay, so here's the reaction response essay we have, which is a really great reaction response essay in response to this original article. So read this reaction response essay to the article, It's a Rich Man's World, and carefully analyze the way the writer agrees or disagrees with the article. How's the essay organized? and what outside evidence did the writer use to defend her responses. So now you can pause this video and read through this article and think about these questions. And then, once you've finished reading and thinking about these questions, taking some notes, you can come back and we'll go over it together. Okay, so now that you've read through this article and you understood this person's arguments, we can look at it together. So this is a reaction response essay in APA style format, and it's organized sort of like this. It has an introduction, which starts out with a summary of the original text and a citation, gives the title, the author, and like 2 to 3 sentence summary of the main points in the article, the original article. Okay, then it includes the thesis, which is the reaction to the original essay. Basically, this person chose to agree on one point, that countries damage the environment. Rich countries damage the environment of poor countries, but disagree with the 2 last points, that brain drain, about brain drain and outsourcing. Okay. Then, so for the first body paragraph, just focus on this first aspect of the thesis, the environment. Basically, the topic sentence was that they agreed with the writer that some of the environmental policies undertaken by rich countries hurt the poor. Then they gave a summary of the textual argument in the original article and supported that argument with further evidence from outside because they did their own research. On the second body paragraph, I disagree with her criticisms regarding brain drain. First, they give a summary of the textual argument about how brain drain damages poor countries, and then they argue against that original argument by saying that skilled workers from poor countries who work in rich countries often return home and benefit the poor countries, and then give some evidence. Again, this is just a rudimentary outline. There's actually more details, but in general, this is the way that it's organized. Now, in body paragraph 3, the main topic here is outsourcing. So they disagree that outsourcing does not benefit poor countries. They give a summary of the textual argument, and then they argue against that by saying that outsourcing positively affects the economy of the countries which offer outsourcing services, namely the poor countries, and then they provide evidence that that's true. Finally, they end with a conclusion which restates the thesis and summary of this essay, basically restates the reaction to the original text, and then gives some sort of general comment. Okay, so basically, hopefully, understanding how this person who wrote this reaction response essay, understanding their process of reading the original essay and then doing some background research, and then just choosing certain points to respond to, and then creating an outline and then organizing that essay, understanding that whole process by reading through these 2 texts should help you write your own reaction response essay. And if you have any questions about these 2 essays or anything in this video, you can email me.